So, Think and Zoom. Thinkandzoom.com. Well, what is it all about? What's the hoopla all about? Well, it's about visual impairment. It turns out that in our planet today, there are about 285 million people who are visually impaired. And the cost associated to visual impairment is $3 trillion. That's T, $3 trillion globally. Well, let's kind of break it up and chop it up into little pieces. What is visually impaired? There's two categories you can break it into. One is no vision, right? Like Stevie Wonder, he has no vision. One is low vision, like myself. I am visually impaired for 20 plus years. I have low vision. It turns out that about 90% of the number I called earlier are actually people who have low vision. Now let's bring it down to America. This affects 10 plus million people, and the number is increasing by 500,000 per year. All right, so the amount we Americans spend is about $15 billion. Okay, so I have low vision. Well, does that mean my life ends? No, we require extra magnification to help us see better through magnifiers, but not your grandma's magnifying glass. No, not that. These are electronic magnifiers. Okay then, so what is the problem? Well, these electronic magnifiers today are just overpriced. And let me give you a good example. There's a company called eSight, and I'm not, bringing them down, but their electronic magnifier costs $15,000. Not Canadian or Hong Kong, US. And on top of that, it requires you to use two hands to operate it. Now, chew on that for a second. You're looking at me. What if I asked you, hey, you're struggling to see me? Well, give me 15 grand, and by the way, hold both of your eyeballs in both hands. Would you do that? I can't see very well, but I can feel him say no. That's a bad deal, right? And so Think and Zoom asks the question, is it possible to provide an affordable and yet convenient way of seeing better? Is it possible for me to mimic the natural way of seeing? She's sitting down, very lovely, and just simply looking at me. She's not holding anything. She's not snapping her fingers or tapping her feet. And that's the question that we ask, and that's what we try to answer. So let's see if it works. Let's see here. What I'm going to try to do is use the power of my brain to magnify. And forgive me for the orientation I'm presenting and zooming and all that stuff. But what you're seeing is actually a human being seeing better by leveraging their brainwaves. Are you guys just dumbfounded, or is this cool? Which one is it? Right? So yeah, it's possible to have an affordable and convenient means of seeing better today, and that's called Think and Zoom. And you can check out the demo at thinkandzoom.com. Again, forgive my orientation. Now, another problem that we also encounter in the visually impaired community is early detection. Again, I am visually impaired. I became legally blind while I was in the US Army as a pre-med student. Now, if someone had told me, much earlier, hey, dude, you're kind of visually impaired, man. This military thing may not work out. Maybe I won't go carry an M16 rifle because they say, hey, you might shoot at the wrong people. So, it's not going to be a good deal. So, I lost two careers, my US military career and my medical career to visual impairment. And then after that, I went to do engineering, and I loved it, right? Worked for many years for places like Goldman Sachs and IBM. Some of my customers were at the White House and NASA and Bloomberg, just to mention a few. But again, visual impairment struck. So I lost 3 careers. So I am personally highly motivated to end in this visual impairment. So the second problem that we encounter is early detection, right? You don't really get a text message, to say, hey, you're visually impaired. Some people is when they crash their cars or flunked out of school, like I flunked out of school, or something, bad happens. So another question is, what would be a very easy way for early detection of visual impairment in children between the ages of 3 and 5? And ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is a man having the ability to lift a bird out of the cage called Kenty. It's in the Apple App Store. And this game has won an award to Apple Developer Conference. And if you don't understand what that means, it's similar to winning the Oscars in Hollywood. So we're really very proud of it. So this is how we want to, moving forward, this is how we want to leverage innovative games in detecting visual impairment very early in children. I want to pitch a kid right here in this room over the summer. Why? Because the kids could imagine themselves playing Pokemon Go, right? You know, trying to hunt Pokemon Go, and we're running analytics, and we're gonna use adaptive AI learning as well as self AI learning, and we're gonna be able to detect all the blind spots that kid has, and we will streamline their path to being paired with the right eye care professional, be it an optometrist, optician, or ophthalmologist. They all do different things. Well, people don't really know who is who, and so they run around and spend a lot of money over many years. All right, so these are the solutions. Well, what's next? Well, we've been traveling around the world and exposing people to this technology, and we've gained quite some traction. And we've been fortunate enough to validate our solution at the National Federation of the Blind, the Foundation of Fighting Blindness, Chris Cole School for the Blind, as well as Texas School for the Blind. So I think we've covered, all the blind places, at least in Texas. In terms of our revenue model, of course, we're pre-revenue, we're very early stage, and we're looking at two revenue streams. One is going to be, of course, building the vision enhancement solutions as devices and, selling them. And the second revenue stream will be, the detection game and selling them to eye care professionals. Now, in terms of the device, we've been making really good efforts in talking to our potential biggest customer, which is the government. In America, the government does 70% of the spending. And I was just at the assistive technology unit of the School for the Blind this morning, where they give me a lot of feedback so I understand their pricing model and other relevant information. So moving forward, we know that we're heading in the right direction. We're not going to end up with a product that our biggest customer is not going to buy. So we're good with that. In terms of our team, I'm a solo founder at the moment, and so that's why I'm here, seeking for a CEO and a CTO. I happen to be the subject matter expert here, but I'm looking for somebody who has business skills and someone who has technical skills. And the questions I'm really asking is very simple. Do you love to solve problems? Do you like to help people? Do you have any connection with visual impairment? And you can shoot me an email at hello@thinkandzoom.com, and we can connect. What else is there to talk about? In terms of the team I've put together, I've secured a medical advisor. She sees probably about 1,000 low vision patients every month at Northwest Hills Eye Care. So she has a lot of credibility, and she's been in the Austin area for 10 plus years. I've also secured a business advisor. He runs an investment company and is also on the board of Lions Club. Lions Club is very critical because one of their missions is to support the visually impaired. So hopefully they'll give us a check coming, very soon. What else is there to talk about?
You raising money or?
Raising money, very good. We are seeking to raise about 500K to help us with further development. However, we're trying to be innovative in what we're doing. We're trying to do beta testing with our relationship with the National Association of Blind Students. We're going to handpick 100 students across the country that will use our product. However, we're trying to do it as an explorer program where there'll actually be an associated cost. Those numbers are still being worked out, but that's where we're headed towards. Did I cover everything?
Yes, question.
All right, cool. Questions? Oh, wow, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
So does that headset help you like think and zoom better? Is that why you're wearing it?
That's right. This is called an EEG reader. EEG stands for electroencephalogram. Probably you've heard of EKG. That's what, checks out your heart, and something else checks out your muscles. But this is like a thermometer. It's like a thermometer that takes your temperature. But this one, checks out your brain waves. In the human body, biochemical activities in the brain send out electrical signals. So this detects it, and the software, all my products are software, is always listening like a demon, and it analyzes those brainwaves activities and then leverages it to do something.
Okay, but so you didn't create that device, you did the software?
No. This is off the shelf.
Okay.
Yeah. My product is software. Yeah. And in the future, we have actually, very good question, we've actually secured 2 contract manufacturing relationships that will help us with the device. So we're not going to do that 3-year hardware production thing that's always just a nightmare. So we're going to leverage people who have already been doing it to cut the time short.
So does the software rely on that hardware, and if so, what percentage of low vision folks have access to that kind of hardware?
Good question. It's not really about what percentage of low vision people that have access to the hardware. You can buy this thing. This is an MVP, right? So for 3 years, I've emailed doctors, hey, I can make people see better by their mind. Nobody believed me, so I just had to knock some things together to prove it. So this is off the shelf. You can really buy it, if you want it. It's called Neurosky. It's like $150. Emotive is another company that makes them. That costs about, $500 or $700. In today's world, EEG is brand new. I think it's estimated to be about $3 to $5 billion today. And to back it up, or as the gentleman said, facts, these are some of the names that are in the EEG industry today. McMaster University out of Canada is trying to use it to power wheelchairs so that people just think of where they're going to go and boom, the thing moves. You don't have to, physically rule anything anymore. British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC London, they're trying to use it to change channels in their set-top boxes to help patients with ALS and Parkinson's and stuff like that. BMW, for one of their very futuristic concept cars, they're trying to leverage this thing. University of Florida, Juan Gilbert and his team just did a drone race over the summer. So I'm waiting for them to miniaturize this because I don't have the money to miniaturize this. And Robert Lowe, who works out of MIT and working for the DoD, so I have no way of getting to this gentleman. He's trying to make this thing to be the size of a quarter. If anybody has a way of contacting him, please let me know. I've tried. I couldn't. Somebody has a hand up?
Hey, Zuby, and you don't give yourself enough credit. You're a great presenter. So.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
So my question though was,
Sure.
First of all, on the technology side, I was just listening to you try to sort of explain the technology, but I just need you to go a little bit further with it.
Okay.
It's measuring something. Now, when you did that display, was that you as a visually impaired person, are you seeing that on the display better? Is that how you're seeing better? Or are you physically seeing better at us at the particular moment while you're watching us?
All right, so this is now my pair of eyes, right? This thing I'm holding.
Okay.
And the software is talking to the headset. And the communication is, hey, is Zuby struggling to see? If yes, magnify it for him to see better. Does that explain it?
A little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said,
Do you have to look at the phone to see us, or do you see us better without looking at the phone? That's fine. I guess maybe.
Oh, I'm legally blind. I cannot see you at all. Oh, no, I see blur. Especially from that distance.
But you would see us on the phone.
Right. If this were working, yes. This will be the display. And very good question. So, just like the gentleman explained, funding is really very difficult. So, I'm trying to take little baby steps. The first step is I'm using this phone as a display, right? If somebody were to give me $10 million, I will give you a pair of glasses that looks just like this with a custom display and 2 cameras for depth perception as well as magnification, and we'll be good to go. But and nobody's gonna really dunk, $10 million in my bank account to develop that. So this is step by step.
Well, so
Yeah.
I'm just so inspired by that because as somebody who just went from perfect vision to needing these, now to look at my phone, I'm just thinking, the next expansion of this would hopefully be something where, I can now see my phone with something you put on the little side note that I can wear all the time, and I'm not legally blind to look at my phone.
Oh, well, interesting.
I love you for this, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Well,
For you.
let's see here. I think I have something that can help you actually today. So I'm gonna switch to a different solution. This uses brainwaves, right? But as people can see, it's been a long weekend. I was presenting at the NFB all weekend long. Sometimes brainwaves is not steady, so I'm waiting for these bigger companies and universities to get it steady. But there's also a different solution that, as I'm touching this ring, it should be magnifying. I hope I touched the right one. Let's see. Hope it's still on. Oh, guess what? The ring died. Is there a red light here? Can you see? There was, right? And it just died, right? Can you imagine that? So, but anyway, this ring actually causes the same effect that the brainwave does. And so it's steadier. It helps people better control it. Because, everybody's quiet now, right? So, you can be able to focus and use your brainwaves. But what if, it was a party, right? You'll be distracted. And so this ring gives you better control. And after, I can easily show you when I plug it in. So I think that will help you because some people have told me that they need that when they go to like a basketball game or a baseball game and they're all the way in the back. They just want something to be controlling and holding their phone. So does that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
cool.
How about using the Google Wear, eyewear?
Thank you very much, Johan. Oh, thank you. Look, which of the Google Wears are you asking me about? The Glass or the Daydream?
I only know the glass.
If you go to thinkandzoom.com, you'll see the video where the first prototype was actually developed on Google Glass. Well, remember, I'm visually impaired, so I ran into a problem in South Africa when I was demoing because I couldn't see through the pinhole, right? So when I came back home, I had to port it to my iPhone. Now, Google is coming out with their own VR headset. Looks like your Samsung Gear VR. It's called Google Daydreams. Unfortunately for me, it's been quite a nightmare because for 3 months, I've probably emailed like 20 people and nobody's responding to me of, how to get to this thing. So if anybody knows anybody at Google that you can connect with, I will really appreciate it because their headset is just lovely. There's purple, there's red, and it's more aesthetic. So I'm trying to put this thing over there and,
I know people on Google.
Oh my gosh, you're the man. Thank you so much. See, that's why it's always good to have an ask. Thank you. Any other questions?
What you're doing for so many people involved.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Being an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Thank you very much.